Hello, this is Philip Pearson from Geomorphology Earth 307, and today I'm going to be talking about boulders. Specifically, I want to talk about how boulders become rounded over time due to chemical weathering. This is known as a process called spheroidal weathering. And this is different from other processes such as stream bed cobble, which become rounded over time due to tumbling with each other. Chemical weathering can happen in places like a desert where there's an outcropping, and you might find jointed rocks and outcropping but rounded boulders next to it. In a situation like this, angular boulders might break free from its parent rock based on joints, and over time they can become spherical. But why, if there's no water at play that's tumbling in a riverbed? Well, that basically comes down to surface area, where spheroidal objects have much less surface area than objects that are angular. And if you think about it like a cube, each of the corners of a cube can be eroded on three different sides. If you're looking at the front rightmost bottom corner, you can have it eroded from the bottom, the front, or the side. But that's different than a sphere or a flat surface, where you can really only target it from one different side. So, chemical weathering is much more focused on the edges of angular materials than they are on the flat surfaces because they're much more vulnerable. So essentially what happens is the most vulnerable corners of a boulder experience chemical weathering and erosion the most quickly compared to flat areas that can only be attacked from one side. So over time, these corners become more and more rounded. And as those corners become more rounded, they become more resilient to chemical weathering and erosion. So essentially what begins as an angular boulder turns into a rounded boulder due to increased weathering on those angular bits. Those angular surfaces eventually become curved and less vulnerable to erosion, and the overall boulder becomes spherical as it meets equilibrium with its form, basically forming a negative feedback loop.